Welcome to another episode of the Live Your Yes Life podcast, where each week we share channeled thoughts, discussions, and interviews on what it takes to go from dreaming and wishing to actively living your yes life. My name is Lisa Limata. I will be your host today. I am one of the co-founders of Rise Leadership Circle, and today I have a really awesome guest. I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. Her name is Amy Rossi Gall, and I titled this episode Never Give Up. And her story is one of resilience and then really living fully the way she's embracing life right now. So we get into so much in this conversation, you guys, and we're going to talk about Amy's journey. Like I kind of asked her, like, how did you get here, right? One of the things she's going to share with you is her journey of healing. So she went to 15 different doctors until she found someone who could help her with Epstein Barr virus and like debilitating symptoms of chronic fatigue. So we talked about this journey of just really persevering until she found the support she needed to where she is today and like everything in between. We go deep into the benefits of rapid transformational therapy. So Amy is an amazing experience coach. She holds graduate degrees in psychology. She's trained in rapid transformational therapy, you guys, and so much more. She has a wealth of knowledge, experience, expertise. And I wanted her to really explain to all of us what rapid transformational therapy is, because I've always been intrigued by it. And I know people who have actually had really profound results. And so she's going to get into what that is, why you might want to look into this, or who this might be right for. And then we really spent some time talking about this evolution into a yes life, you know, moving through these experiences of different healing, overcoming anxiety. And she shared some stories about how RTT has helped herself, how it's helped some of her clients, but also just what it means now to be a woman, a mom, a career professional who is living an incredible life. And in particular, she talks about the importance of really embracing the challenges, the struggles, and what that can do for us on the other side, how beautiful these moments can be if we're willing to actually stay with them instead of move through them. So this is a really juicy episode. There's a lot to cover. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Hi, Amy. I am so happy to have you here today. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. Every time we touch base, I just love talking to you. So what a treat for me.
Likewise, I feel exactly the same. And thank you for your patience with this recording. So this is take 2 for us, you guys. And Amy has just been so patient and graceful with internet and Wi-Fi issues. Let's go ahead and dive right in, though. So what I really would love to hear from you, Amy, is how did you get to where you are today? Like, what led you?
Sure. Well, I love the lens that you put out there of living your yes life. And this actually gave me pause to reflect on my life as a series of yeses that have led to now at this age and this stage of life that I am being able to say multiple yeses. But I would say what has led me to my yes life now is saying yes to really relentless focus on my wellness physically and my wellness mentally. And even times when I was told by doctors, like, this is as good as you can get, I just didn't take no for an answer. I had unknowingly Epstein Barr and just crushing chronic fatigue from that. And I went to 14 different doctors saying, I am so tired, help me, help me. And they said, your blood work's normal, new moms are tired, all the things. And it took till doctor number 15. So I had to say yes for years, knowing this isn't okay. I was so driven to be the best mom I could be that I just kept going. I think that was my fuel. And he helped me. He helped me. And among other healers that I came across, it went fully in remission. And I've had other hard things too. I've had to say yes to healing and not being satisfied with people saying, or doctors saying, like, this is as good as you can get. And all those yeses now have led me to be able to say yes to the things I want to do, because I can go beyond just surviving to really, I mean, I think in a lot of ways thriving. So,
Ooh, yeah, this is really good. And I'm happy that you're sharing this part of your story, because I know that there are women or maybe even men listening to this who are probably in that boat right now, right? Your blood work's fine, you're fine, looks good. And I know that was my story early on when I was suffering from adrenal fatigue and I was so exhausted. And the only thing that was being offered to me was antidepressants. And I just kept saying, I'm not depressed. I'm tired, right? I'm tired. And it doesn't matter how much I sleep or what I do. Like, I can't shake this exhaustion. And, I'm curious for you, like, how did you find the courage to keep going? Was it like intuition, or what led you to just keep going all the way to doctor number 15?
gosh, that's a great question. There is something inside of me that has always been determined to grow and strengthen in challenges. I think I was born with really high anxiety, honestly, and I had always wanted that to be better as well. Um, so I think that determination that thread has always been there. And then the fatigue was enough. When I had kids, I would be playing on the floor with them and I would be dozing off and falling asleep. And I thought, this is not acceptable to me. I'm just not willing to be half a mom. And so I think that also helped that fuel. And when they kept saying, oh, new moms are tired, or oh, you just started a new job, you have a really hard job, whatever. Yeah, that something in me was like, no, I know this. I knew it could get better. So maybe there was also that intuition piece that there is healing out there. I just have to find it.
Yeah. I'm curious too, like, was this experience that you went through pivotal in stepping into what you've eventually pursued as a career?
Mm, so, sort of. I would say it showed me if I keep seeking, the answers will come. And so I definitely got through that struggle and some others, this passion for wellness. I wanted so much for my life to feel easier, and I want that so much for other people. So I think that kept me on a path of psychology graduate degrees, being a school psychologist, volunteering for decades with kids in foster care, being a foster care counselor, all of that, just lightening the load of life. So I think it went that direction.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. And then eventually, so tell us a little bit maybe about your career path, if you don't mind. So you've got degrees in psychology, and then, working as did you say a school counselor?
School psychologist, yeah.
School psychologist. Yeah. And then eventually also stepped into coaching, rapid transformational therapy. How did that come about?
hmm So I'm just an eternal student of life. I am voraciously curious. I always want to learn new things. And so I tend to do things. And then while I'm doing that, learn the next thing. And then that shifts my path. So again, in that vein of trying to lighten people's loads, so I shifted more to adults at some point here, which wasn't intentional. It's just where life led me. And that shifted from the school psychology, from the foster care counseling, that type of thing, to now coaching older adults and women. I think just me finding my way at this age has led me to wanting to support women in my stage of life. And so that led to the coaching. And as I was doing coaching, I just got exposed to supporting women and feeling that gratification. And also through myself healing from a significant car accident, I learned new techniques for coaching that then allowed me to support people even more. And then that path led me to finding out about the rapid transformational techniques that you can add to coaching. And the first session I did as a client, it's more done in a meditative state. So your eyes are closed, you're really relaxed. And when I opened my eyes, I was like, oh my gosh, that is what it means to be friends with yourself. I had heard it. I thought I intellectually knew what it was, but I didn't get it. And I really got it. And I thought, oh my gosh, I would love, love, love to support people this way. So I'm definitely in a big expansion mode with what I hope to offer people. So, and ironically, I am at a pause, not taking new clients, just in the vein of not overextending. But so, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I'm happy to have this conversation here. And when I first met Amy, we had a conversation about rapid transformational technique, or RTT, as some of you might know it by. This is a method developed by Marissa Peer, correct, Amy?
It's out of the UK. She has a beautiful accent.
She does. I know. I love listening to her talk. I've got one of her books, and she's someone who I have followed and just have been really interested in the benefits of RTT, because I've heard so many people say that it's been really beneficial and transformational for them. So I did want to share a little bit about that for people listening in, because I think it's a great resource and something really to look into. Even though, Amy's not currently taking clients, I think that for some of you, you know, this could be a beautiful alternative treatment to support. So, who would benefit most? What type of person might benefit most from seeking RTT?
So I think it can work beautifully for so many issues, Lisa. Even for your group, it's a great. Say you work on abundance blocks, and then you work with this. It's more of a short term. You pick one issue, and it's just in a few sessions, and then you can move on from there. So it's a great, I think, starting point, and then somebody could work with you. So that kind of works on the cracks in the foundation, and then you build this gorgeous, abundant house with them. But it can work for multiple issues. For me, what I love about it and what I work with clients on and what it's done for me is it leads to a deep, or it can lead, right? You can't promise that, but it can lead to this deep friendship with yourself. And when you have that and you hold self value and self trust inside of you, it's so much easier to go out into the world and say yes to all kinds of things. So you're not, nothing, when you have that self value, that self trust piece, you're not looking outside for validation because you validate yourself. Then your self worth isn't on the line when you try things. So new things are just fun and exciting and expansive. So a new job, or going on an interview, or a new relationship, all those things, your worthiness isn't on the line because you already have it inside of you. So for me, that's the biggest, beautifulest thing about it, is for me, it really strengthens that piece, that deep enoughness.
That's so beautiful. So, that space of deeply helping people connect to their self worth, to trusting themselves, to becoming friends with themselves again. And, if someone is listening that's maybe moving through a difficult time now, or maybe there's been something in the past and this kind of comes up for you over and over again, right? That sense of, wanting to tap into your worth. And I love this conversation because this is a lot of the work that Kayla and I do. We don't do RTT, but like we do connect with people on helping them tap into seeing that they are inherently worthy. Something that I love about the fact that this is rapid, right? So I feel like this is, I've heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard like something in like as little as 1 to 3 treatments, people can see a rapid difference in change because this is working at the subconscious level. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. That's been my experience. And I've also seen that for multiple other people. The reason that it works so rapidly is you're in this deeply relaxed, more hypnotic like state. So you can get to answers without your mind doing its usual patterns. And what's so powerful is you go back to where you formed certain beliefs about yourself. And when you realize, and often you look back, well, let me backtrack for a minute. When you're younger, or through any time in life when you have really strong feelings that happen, particularly strong negative feelings, the next thing that often happens is you form a belief about yourself. And we're just doing the best we can to navigate, right? And often it's done in a protective way. Like, okay, you did poorly in this test. And then your mind says, okay, you're not enough. But it does that as a protective thing so that then you won't take any more tests and you won't have to feel like that again. But as you get older, say you want to go to graduate school, you need to take tests and believe that you can be successful. And so it sort of unwinds that old belief, and then you form empowering new beliefs. And those empowering new beliefs, particularly that I'm enough, I'm worthy, all of that, it's just pervasive. It can be pervasive through everything.
Incredible. And, we know that if you change your beliefs, you can change your entire life. It's the foundation of literally everything.
I had heard that. Again, it was like the being friends with yourself. Like I kind of got it that beliefs are everything, but then now I really get it. They
Mm.
totally are everything. And so we could have these faulty beliefs that we formed that run the show and run our decisions, but in the background we're not even aware of it. So to expose that to the light and then rework it and reframe it and upgrade it, it's just, yes, it can be a game changer. So I've found it a game changer too.
Could you share any stories, either maybe like a story in your own life, or if you can share any like client testimonial stories? I know you can't share personal information about clients, but just sort of in general, are you able to share just some success stories of how this has positively made a difference for people or for yourself?
Sure. One example pops right up. There was a new mom who had had a difficult relationship with her mom, and her mom had been pretty unkind, and she wanted to do different. She wanted this to be this path, her to be the pattern breaker for this and be different with her children, but she was struggling to do it. And again, it wasn't conscious, but her worthiness was on the line every time her kids misbehaved. And so it became this loaded thing. And in the session, she realized that this was a worthiness issue, that thing that was getting kind of prodded at. And what was amazing was towards the end of the session, there's what's called the transformation part. And that's when we've done an intake and I've found all the things that they're kind of speaking their dream, what they want. So it was just at the beginning of that part to conclude the session of all the things she wanted and saying things, you're a beautiful mother and you speak calmly to your children and your children respond and there's love and light in your home and just all these soothing things. Right before I started, her daughter woke up and laid on her and heard the whole thing with her. And oh my gosh, that was so beautiful, so amazing. What a privilege to be a part of something like that. And when I met with her the next few times, she said, my voice is gentler, my voice is kinder. It's a new voice in my head, and that's coming out with my daughter. So
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I love that her daughter was
oh
right
my
there soaking it
gosh.
up as well.
Oh, it was so amazing. So
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes. True healing work, right? When we can go back and heal some of those core wounds. And it's like, something I say a lot is we are meaning makers. As humans, we are meaning making machines. We make meaning of everything in our life, right?
Oh,
And
I like that. I've never heard
yeah,
that. A meaning maker. How cool, or meaning making. Cool. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah. Right? And sometimes what we're making something mean can be really empowering and positive, but sometimes we assign a meaning to things that, just isn't empowering and quite frankly isn't always true either. So I just really appreciate you talking to us about RTT today because I do think this is going to be a valuable resource for, someone who's listening that's like, yeah, I feel like I need something that can help me really really truly tap into this innate worthiness because like sometimes we know it, we get it logically, like I know, and then it's actually the implementation of it or the doing life or the really believing of it is where people get stuck. And it sounds like this would be an amazing modality for that.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. One little
Beautiful.
thing, just as you're talking, that's come up too, is doing this work has made me, I like people even more because you see, of course, they form that belief. Of course, they act that way. Of course, they have whatever, a short temper or self sabotage or all those things. It just opens up such a vat of compassion for people and for myself, and just an understanding of, life is hard. We're doing the best we can.
Yes, I agree. I mean, my goodness, if we understood people's stories at a deeper level, right? I feel like the whole world would be more gentle, more compassionate, more understanding. Like, oh, of course, this person is reacting this way or showing up this way, right? Because it usually has nothing to do with the present moment. And it's so often rooted in a past experience that they don't even maybe consciously remember.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so powerful. And I've seen it at every level, right? I work with high level leaders and CEOs and executives, and, even people who have created amazing success can still struggle with this worthiness piece.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I'd love to switch gears a little bit and ask you, as this is the Live Your Yes Life podcast, what does living your yes life mean to you today?
So, what it means to me today is to continue saying yes to wellness. So, in my house, I'm eating a lot of plants. I do a lot of exercise. I get plenty of sleep. I'm going to keep that Epstein Barr in remission the rest of my life. So, it's saying yes to wellness so I can continue to say my yeses. First, that's the foundation. And I would say since January, we have an empty nest, which has been a pretty massive transition. I don't think it's given enough credit, honestly, in our culture. But it has, while it's been sad and just weird, it's also opened up a lot of space. So my yes life is expanding, coaching, expanding what I do for work, but it's also a lot of play. I've done a lot of hard work to get to the wellness, the well place that I am now, have now. So now I would just want to play. I'm dancing. I'm going to fitness dance classes, dance parties, concerts. So just, yeah, a lot of play. I'm going to take maybe an art class, that kind of thing.
I love that. Yes. This is an important conversation. So, I do think this needs to be talked about more too. This stage of being an empty nest. And I know, there are a lot of people listening who are around this stage, but I also know we have a younger audience too. And, it's important to hear this like when when you're younger, when your kids are still at home, because you have to know like this moment is coming and like, how do you want to be ready for it? Right. I think that this is an important conversation, or maybe you know someone who's in this stage and maybe they need a little bit of extra support because you do suddenly find that life changes in this way that like there's a lot of blessings that come with it, but there also is this like letting go, identities and roles shift. So, when we get to this place, I always say, the thing that shocked me is when, so I have a daughter and a son. My daughter was the first one to go off to college and she wasn't far, but she was in the dorms. And I remember how different it was that first year when her and all of her friends went off to college because I was used to a full house. I was used to, you know, all of these extra kids popping in my house, eating out of the cupboards at any old time, you know, making big dinners and extra people at the table. And it was like she was gone and I was missing her. And like, oh, all of her friends are gone too. All of this activity in our house, you know. And my son was still home and his friends, but it was still a change, right? I was just like, oh, I didn't realize I was going to miss all of you.
Right. Oh, I mean, it's so much quieter. It's so much more different than I even expected. And I find it so odd that we don't have some sort of ritual or something to signify this for people, because it is such a major life milestone.
Yeah, and I think for women in particular too, there's another level of like, who am I now? Because quite honestly, you know, I know for a lot of us, when we're in this stage of, you know, raising young people, or for some of you, it might be even caregiving for, you know, others right now, but we don't have a lot of time necessarily to sometimes think about what we want, right? That's how it was for me. I was just in this mode of like, okay, I'm working, I'm, you know, putting food on the table, I'm paying the bills, I'm making sure they have everything they need. Life is just kind of busy. And when that slowed down was a moment I could say, like, well, who am I now? Right. And how did that go for you that, you know, as things, or maybe you're kind of still in it? I hear you doing dance classes and you're doing all these things, which I think is so great. Did it take you a little bit to get to that point?
Yes. And I got fantastic advice, actually. So at first, I just sort of frantically started filling the space. Not frantically, I don't do things frantically, but quickly. I know the things I love. I know intuitively what the right next thing is, but I started doing a lot at once. And I joined, which I love them all, but multiple clubs and community service organizations. I started doing that. And somebody said to me, Amy, just feel the space. Don't fill the space. And it really got me to pause. And I thought, you're right. Okay. So I spent months just allowing the space and the quiet, and then more mindfully adding things in. And I think now I'm at the point where I've done that. I've worked through, it's been, you know, what, 5 months? I've worked through the quiet and the stillness for the next right things. And now I'm pretty good to go. I'm ready. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to dance, you know, all the things, concerts, all the fun.
Oh, this is so good. I know there's someone out there listening that needs to hear this, right? So feel the space, don't fill the space. We've been taught to be so uncomfortable in the feels, in the slowing down, in the pause. And I know a lot of people resist it, but there's like this sort of magical new world on the other side.
100%. I've come to think of when life has handed me challenges, I've come to think of them as invitations. So within pain or discomfort, there is this invitation for something beautiful in it. And so if you're willing to, all these things, right? Like I could have filled the space and numbed, and don't think I didn't have that tendency at first, even with all the work I've done, right? There's no cure for being human, but through that and through many other challenges, I've opened the invitation. And to me, that means sitting in that discomfort, growing, learning, sucking the wisdom out, whatever that is. And by doing that, then it allows life to not get stuck and to be really rich and full and intuitively led and all of that. So it's like you said, sitting in that discomfort to me was part of opening that invitation for this next stage. And now that I went through it and sat through the quiet hours, now I can move forward with a playful energy and a readiness and an openness. So,
Yes. Let's talk about evolution for a little bit, because that's kind of what you're saying is you've been moving through this sort of evolution and are starting to feel like you're coming out the other side. You know, for now, of course, we all keep evolving. And you know, one of the things that I say to my clients is like, I want you to fall in love with every area of your life, right? When someone comes to work with me, I'm like, I don't just want to help you achieve success in one area, because to me, that's not really success, right? If maybe you make $1 million, but your relationships are suffering, is it really success? And I want I want people to fall in love with life, right? With life, with all the moments, all the ebbs and flows. And it doesn't just mean that like life is rainbows and daisies. It's this intentionality and this sense of just being fully present to life, right? So I'd love to hear like how your sense of fulfillment, your sense of yes, like I'm hearing where you are now. Can you give me an idea of maybe like how that's evolved over time for you? You touched on it a little bit, right? Of like you went through this healing journey and like here you are today. But I'd love to hear a bit about maybe the messy middle and the evolution that helped you get here.
For sure. I just also want to pause and say your clients are so lucky. I love what you're saying. Oh, and falling in love with
Thank
all of your life.
you.
That's amazing. So the evolution, I would say, I mean, there wasn't just the Epstein Barr. So I had, a lot of anxiety I needed to work through and heal. I also, like I said, had that significant car accident that took a couple of years to come back from. And so I think for me, that evolution was a lot of saying yes to just struggling and opening to healing and sort of clawing my way forward, I suppose. And it's taken doing that to be able to evolve into now moving forward in a whole different way. I don't have to white knuckle to expand. I don't have to use willpower to move forward. I can do it joyfully and intuitively and mindfully. Where I think in the past, just having that much struggle, it was more white knuckle willpower to kind of move forward. But meanwhile, alongside that, finding the healers relentlessly seeking help so I could be the best mom I could, all of that. So I think now it just, I'm able to expand from a whole different place, and it makes expanding so much more fun.
I really appreciate that you said it was about saying yes to the struggle. I feel like we live in this world that is so perfectly curated on social media, and so often you're seeing the highlight reel, or you're just seeing what people want to, you see what they want you to see of their life on social media. And we get this idea that these people are out there living this perfect life, doing these amazing things, and all is so great, right? And maybe you're someone who's struggling, and I talk to people who it's really hard to be in this space because they make themselves so wrong, and like I shouldn't be here, or resist the struggle, which of course we know makes it last longer. And I think like I tell my clients, these moments when you're in the struggle, these are sacred moments.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Yeah, if you could see it, right? These moments when you're on your knees, just like, what, I'm in this. It truly is like that time. It's sacred. It's evolving you. It's like you're in the fire, and for a reason, because there's something really beautiful on the other side if you're willing, right? If you're willing to sort of be in that space. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, I agree. There's sometimes it takes being cracked open to even know what's inside of you. And a lot of times, if you're, again, it's that opening invitations. If you open that invitation and you go inside, there's some really beautiful things there.
Absolutely. So I'd love to hear where are you headed next? Like what's next for you in this version of yes for your life? Do you have some ideas of what that looks like?
Um, Definitely expanding the coaching. And again, as I told you, I do one thing and expand and expand. And now, like I told you, the end of the sessions, that transformation portion where you speak people's dream and do all that. Now I'm thinking, okay, I love doing all of it, but I particularly love that part. So I'm thinking maybe now I need a podcast that's like a little rest nest with guided meditations each day, just short ones, something like that. So I think there'll be something with guided meditations next as well. And um, I think continuing to just have to be this a new in a new phase of parenting. You're still parenting, but I'm being very mindful of how to proceed differently. So it's not a place of advice, it's a place of helping the girls remember self-trust and being their cheerleader versus a mom setting up guidelines and boundaries and all of that. So I'm very open to this new phase of our family. Definitely, my husband and I, this has been really nice for us. It's deepened our relationship significantly to have this space and time just for us. And I would love to continue that as well. So he's been supportive, by the way, through all of these challenges and through finding all these resources and all of that. So none of this would have it wasn't just my determination alone that was able to make that happen. There was a support system as well. So, and like I said, just play, play, play. That's
I
my
love it. It's so good. Yes, it's so good. Just continue to play and see where it leads you, right? It's like following those things that light you up, and who
yes.
knows where it will go. Yeah, I
And
love
I've
that.
always too, I really prioritize my relationships, my friendships. I care about being a good family member. So I'm really interested right now too in expanding to meet. I love meeting really neat, fascinating people. Even when I have plenty of friends, I'm always open, always. So that is definitely an open door as well. Cherishing my roots. I'm still very close with a lot of old friends, and that is a huge, important part of my life, but also wide open to new and fabulous people who I have met in the past few months. So
This is so good. I love that we can have these conversations. I feel like people fear getting to this stage in life, and I want to change that conversation because there's so much richness to be had in such a beautiful way. So I'm glad we get to hear how this is going for you today. I would love to know, like, is there any wisdom or advice that you have for our listeners? Anything else that you want to share? Um, for those who either maybe they are in the struggle or they're really working to get to their version of a yes life, what would you say?
to not give up. So first of all, that opening the invitations concept, open in the pain, find something beautiful, find the growth, and that will lead you to the next right thing. But also just to not give up. I could have, for instance, I had tried a few counselors for my anxiety, and it just wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't helping. And I just kept going, kept trying, and I found somebody absolutely fabulous. And my life has changed because of her. So it's just not giving up. And that's not always accessible to everyone. And so like these healers, I had car accident money to help me as well. So, but there's books, there's podcasts, there's a million resources out there to if you're willing to not settle for the status quo that doesn't feel right. It's just keep going, keep going, keep going. I love the symbol of an arrow. I wear an arrow on my neck all the time. I have one up in my kitchen. Then it's just to me a symbol of like, keep going forward no matter what you're going through. Keep going, keep going, keep learning, keep growing. And then you can create something beautiful, even out of hard things.
Love it. Thank you so much. What is the best way for people to connect with you? Are you online? Should they go to your website if they want to learn more?
I'm not much of a social media girl. So I'm pretty much my website, amyrossigall.com. That's the best. And you can, my email's on there, phone number, all the things.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today and just sharing your wisdom, sharing a little bit more about what RTT is, how it can support, and also just hearing your story, because I feel inspired just listening to you. I know everyone else is going to as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, like I said, I think your clients are so lucky. Your joyful and positive community on Facebook is amazing. So I'm so glad we've gotten to connect as well.
Thank you so much for being here today. I wanted to let you know that we have a couple of big announcements coming up in the Rise Leadership Circle world. And if you want to be the first to know, the place to be is inside of our free Facebook group. And it is called Live Your Yes Life for Heart-Centered Leaders. You can either search it on Facebook or you can make it easy and just click the link below. Come and join us if you're not already there. If you are already in the Facebook group, keep watch, because we are going to be making some big announcements. And the day that this podcast goes live, I think it's just maybe the week after this podcast goes live, we're going to be live with a few announcements of some big things coming up. So be sure to jump in. And if this episode served you today, be sure to share it with a friend, like, subscribe, let us know that you're enjoying this podcast. As always, we love to hear from you. So if you have feedback, if you have a suggestion for topics you'd like to hear, or someone inspiring that we should interview you, please let us know. We'll see you inside the Facebook group.